Hey, everybody. We are back. Hope you enjoyed the conversation you were just listening to. And I'm still like amazed that this guy figured out a way to eat out every night and still lose weight. I love it. And I'm probably going, even though he gave me a book, a lot of people give me books, a lot of authors, and it goes on the shelf. And once in a while, I'll look at them. But this one is definitely one that's staying on the coffee table. So when I'm home, I can pick it up and read. It's important. Anyway, moving along. It's Thursday. We're at the Transmedia building in beautiful downtown Boca Raton, Florida. And it's Boca Thursdays. So I know some of you were listening on WEInetwork.com. And just to let others know, you can see us streaming on Facebook Live. If you go to facebook.com/WEI Network. And with that, we're going to lighten the conversation a little bit. And I have Zach with me, who is the marketing and sales director or sales. He does the marketing and sales for a brewery called Barrel of Monks. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Peter. Thank you very much for having us on.
My pleasure. I was looking forward to this. You know, although people who know me know I'm not a huge beer drinker, but I like beer. I'm not a big drinker, period.
Sure.
But, you know, there's times you just want to have a couple and chill out and sit back and kick your feet up. And there is such a boom going on right now with craft beer that it's amazing. It's a lot of fun. And needless to say, it's given you an employment opportunity. So
certainly, yeah, it's definitely been advantageous for me personally, but for South Florida and Florida in general, there's definitely over the past maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 years or so been a boom in the craft brewing industry.
Right. So Barrel of Monks, you're based out of Boca.
We are based out of Boca Raton, kind of in the north area, off Clintmore Road, in an industrial park called Rogers Circle. And if you're familiar with the area, it's kind of in between Congress and military. So,
okay, now is it just the brewery? Can people go out there, have a beer, and hang out?
Sure thing. We have a tasting room there at the brewery, which is open Tuesday through Sunday. And if you visit our Facebook page or our website, you can see the opening times. We carry out tours over the weekend of the brewery as well, so you can come and check it out, and we'll tell you a bit about the brewing process in general and about what Barrel of Monks does, which is unique. Or you can just come like any other bar and just have a few beers.
All right. Now, out of curiosity, do you have a habit where you have entertainment going on when people are hanging out, or is it?
So there's always food trucks there. We don't do we don't have our own kitchen, but we have food trucks there almost every day. Oh, that's all right. Food
trucks are the hot thing now too.
There's a lot of food trucks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we do food trucks. There are we do bands sometimes, not as often as we used to, but you know, there's certainly still music going on. Sports whenever there's big games going on. And we do certain kind of themed events too. So recently we've done a bacon and beer pairing. We do various, special beer dinners, or of course, if we do special release beers, we'll do an event for that as well.
Right. Okay. So Barrel of Monks been around 3 years.
We actually have our 3-year anniversary next Saturday, March 31st.
All right. Daytime.
It's going to be daytime. Yeah, it's going to be 1 through 5, and then we're going to kind of keep
it going.
Keep going.
It never ends at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, you can't kick everyone out. You can't kick everyone out at 5 o'clock during a beer festival.
All right. So if people are watching, you brought in beer. What kind of beer did you bring in?
So I have 2 beers, and these are the 2 that we currently have available in the small format bottles. So the ones that most people will be familiar with, kind of 12 ounce or 330 ml bottles. The first one here is called the Wizard.
Yeah.
This is a Belgian wit beer spiced with bitter orange peel and coriander. So there's a few kind of more major brands out there which are similar to this, but this is our flagship, most popular beer. You can find this all around in major retailers such as Total Wine, ABC's, Crown Liquors, Whole Foods, Fresh Markets, and the rest. And then the other one we have here is another flagship of ours. This is a Belgian triple. So this is still a blonde ale, so it's still lighter in color, but this is a little higher in alcohol. It's 9%. So this is probably a bit more of a session beer. You can have 2 or 3 of these. This triple, you're gonna,
so
have just 1 or 2.
When people talk, think of craft beer, I know they think of the citrus of the fruit, tint to it.
It can, yeah.
It can. Not all of them. I mean, people who've heard me talk about it, and we've talked before. There's a bourbon barrel ale out there. I mean,
the varieties I like are endless, and that's one of the great things about craft beer. Is there's so much variety that you find different styles of beer. It's
all right.
infinite.
So explain to me and the novices who are listening when you say a Belgium style beer.
Sure.
What is that?
So first of all, Barrel of Monks is all about the Belgian style beer. So you'll be familiar with beer styles such as IPAs, of course, lagers, huge stouts, and so on and so forth. We focus at Barrel of Monks all about Belgian style beers, and they're some of the most historic breweries, are out of Belgium, and they have arguably some of the best beers and beer styles in the world. So that is where we take our inspiration from, and in any way, shape, or form, all of the beers that we brew at Barrel of Monks is a Belgian style. And if they're not actually Belgian style beers, we put some sort of Belgian twist on them.
Okay.
Now, with Belgian style beers, what makes them unique are a couple of things. First of all, they have a very unique yeast character to them. So again, with IPAs, it'll be more hop forward in the flavor profile.
And the hops, again, I'm not the expert. But the hops, the more hops, the more bitter, right?
Generally. So hops are going to add hop flavor, hop aroma, and most distinctly hop. They're going to add bitterness to the beer, and that's going to balance out some of the sugars that are in there as well. Right. And so with IPAs, that's a style that is very hop forward, and so you'll get more bitterness out of it, more flavor from the hops and aroma. And different beer styles, you might have more malty beers. And of course, like you say, with fruit beers or with barrel-aged beers, you'll get a whole array of styles. Now, with Belgian style, generally it's the yeast, which is the forward flavor profile. Not exclusively, but that's the general rule behind it. You'll also find that they're very often higher in carbonation, so they'll have a bit more of a fizz to them, which is good. Many of them are higher alcohol, and that's again not always the case, but they're connotated with being, you can get beers from Belgium which are 10, 12%, and so on and so forth. So that's the beer. That's the style that we focus on.
Right. And beer normally, percentage-wise, what's it in the 6% range?
All depends on the style of beer. Yeah. You can get beer styles. You're looking at lagers, 4 to 6%. Yeah. You can get imperial stouts, which we have a Belgian imperial stout, which is 10.5%.
Oh, really?
And it can go even higher than that.
I remember.
So it does vary a lot.
I'm going to show my age here, but I remember when I went to school, and I grew up in New York. I went to school in the Midwest, and the Midwest drinking was 21. But at 18, you could drink, it was called 3.2 beer, which is like light beer, I guess. Yeah. And coming from New York, where you were able to drink at 18, 3.2, who wants to drink that? I want the real stuff. Yeah. But, then all of a sudden, light beer became like a rage. And it's interesting to see the beer market have such a range now from that 3.5%, 4% up to 10, 11%, or even more. I think a couple of years have more than 11 or 12%.
Yeah, that's right. It's interesting for me too, because as you can probably tell, I don't originate from America. And
you sound like you're from Brooklyn, right?
I'm from Boston, actually. No, back in England, the drinking age is 18. And so coming over here, I didn't move over here when I was 21, but it was still a culture shock, especially working in the industry and kind of getting used to
being that you grew up across the pond, do you like your ale or your beers warm or cold?
Room temperature.
Room temperature?
All depends on the style of beer. Yeah. So when you're talking about this beer right here, Belgian wit beer, lighter beers, lagers, definitely nice and crisp and cold, refreshing. For this kind of weather that we have here in Florida, that's it's perfect. Yeah. But when you're talking about cask beers, when you're talking about stout, darker beers, generally you may want them not as chilled as you would want lighter beers. Yeah, especially with the higher alcohol beers. Me personally, it's more of a sipping beer. It's not one that you're gonna be using as necessarily, I guess, refreshment, and so you can enjoy it a bit more.
All right. So is Kevin one of the owners?
Kevin is one of the owners. He's our director of operations, and he is my boss.
All right. And do you know what it was that made him say, "I'm going to start my own brewery"?
So let me step back a moment.
Yeah.
So we have 4 owners in total, and 3 of them are the founding owners. The 3 founding owners are all Boca locals. 2 of them are radiologists here in Boca, and another one is a business owner in a different industry. Those were the guys who began the idea of Barrel of Monks, and they went down the very stereotypical route of brewing the beer in the back porch, and on a homebrew kit and getting used
beer,
to it,
as they say,
something like that. But they were big craft beer enthusiasts, and they took a trip over to Belgium, and that's where they fell in love with Belgian style beer, and that's where Barrel of Monks started. Kevin, he was actually a brewer in 2 other breweries, craft breweries down here in Florida, and so he already had commercial brewing experience, which is very different from home brewing, and they brought him on at the beginning, or actually before.
They needed somebody who knew what they were doing.
They needed someone with commercial brewing experience, and he later on, whilst working with us, became one of the owners as well.
All right. So my next question is the name Barrel of Monks, and let me reach this for a second. If anybody can see it, the label. It's not monkeys.
It's not monkeys, which is very common.
Right.
Mistake.
It's not Harry Potter.
It's definitely not Harry Potter.
Right. How did they come up with the name Barrel of Monks?
So,
it's got to be a great story.
It's pretty cool. So going back, a bit educational, I guess, to the Belgian style breweries, specifically the beers that we are most passionate about are the Trappist Monk breweries.
Okay.
You have Trappist Rochefort, Chimay. There's a whole bunch, and they're not all in Belgium, but I think most of them are in Belgium.
Yeah.
And these guys have been brewing beers. The actual monks themselves have been brewing beers for hundreds of years, and they have some of the styles that we make: singles, doubles, triples, quadruples, so on and so forth. They've been brewing them for like I said, hundreds of years. And so, because those are the guys that we take direct inspiration from, that is, obviously where the monks comes in. Barrel, self-explanatory. Beer barrel of monks. Again, obviously, it's a play on the old game Barrel of Monkeys. Yeah. That's where it comes from.
Yeah, very cool. It is. You know what? You're paying homage. You're actually saluting.
Having a bit of fun with it. These are very traditional beer styles. They're very popular in the beer industry, and they are also sometimes very difficult beer styles to get right. The yeast is the most volatile.
I was going to say
a flavor kind of contributor to beer, and because it's the living organism part of the beer, it doesn't always do necessarily what you want it to do. With Belgian style beers, because they're the main flavor comes from the yeast. If there's any inconsistencies in those beers, you're going to notice them more with Belgian style for that reason. And so
I was going to say the quality control, per se.
We are incredibly stringent on quality control. We have a, I think, impressively advanced lab at the brewery as well, which is part of the tour if you come down and check it out. And all of the focus in that lab is all about the yeast. And so we do everything that we can. A whole bunch of stuff which is way over my head to ensure consistency in the different batches of beer that we do, because we want you to open this bottle of beer right here, and then 6 months down the line when you open this Wizard Wit again, we want it to taste as consistent to this batch as we can make it.
All right, very cool. Barrel of Monks beer. You're off of Clintmore between Congress and Military. In what circle?
So we are on South Rogers Circle.
Okay.
Yeah, almost bang in the middle of.
I actually, as we keep saying, Congress. South Rogers Circle, I know where it is.
Surprisingly, a lot of people actually know where it is. When I first came here, I thought, this is going to be a hard place for people to know, but I talked to people around the area, and everyone seems familiar with Rogers Circle. So, and if you do have any trouble, it's on the website. Everyone GPSes it now, So
the only thing I hate about GPS is when you're going somewhere and as you're entering an intersection, and it tells you to make a left at that intersection. You know, it's like a split second behind. I was like, oh man.
It's the time when it says the destination is on your right, and you look there, you're like, well, there's nothing there.
Right, right. Website, social media.
We're on all of that. Yeah, you can find. We have a website, barrelofmonks.com. Of course, Facebook, Instagram, and those are the best places to be keeping track of the latest events, and the beer releases that we have going on. You know, we keep that up to date daily.
All right, very cool. I'm glad you came in. I'm definitely going to have one of those in a little bit. We're talking with Zach from Barrel of Monks, the brewery in Boca off of Clintmore. And again, online, it's under Barrel of Monks.
It's on Barrel of Monks. If you Google Barrel of Monks,
you're going to find it straight
up. And same with Facebook.
I like telling people, just Google it.
Just Google it, just GPS it, you know.
It's the easiest way.
Don't need to give directions and whatnot. And don't need maps and all that.
And, you know, save the date, mark your calendar, the 30th.
So it's actually March 31st. We are having our 3-year anniversary, which is a huge deal for us. Super excited.
Yeah.
We're going to have a big block party out in the parking lot. We have 40 plus different beers, including special releases and guest beers, as well as, of course, our own. We have food trucks. We'll have over 10 vendors there. We have sumo suits going on there as well. Giveaways, the works. So, and it's free to get in. You just have to buy the beer.
That's it. That's it. And that's where you're going anyway, right? It's for the beer.
Exactly.
Exactly. All right. Well, I want to thank you for coming in.
Thank you
very
much.
It was a pleasure. And hopefully I can get over there on the 31st. And you're listening to Peter's Living Room here on the World Entertainment and Information Network. We got a lot more afternoon to go here, broadcasting from the Transmedia building in beautiful downtown Boca Raton. Don't go away. Got some trivial information and facts for you for a few minutes. And after that, we'll be back. More guests, more afternoon. Hang in there, everybody. We'll see you in a little